welcome to Aberholt Junction. And today I'll show you how to make these really neat buffer stops from just this, a pile of garbage. I'm sure, like me, you have tons of sleepers lying around and tons of electrical cable offcuts. Okay, so in 5 minutes we can then transform them into these wonderful sleepers, which take up no space. So if you're tired of these old Pico Hornby type buffer stops, and more importantly, if you only want to have something which takes up that much space rather than all of that, dimensions to come, then follow me on this journey. 5 minutes, not even time to make a cup of tea, or certainly not enough time to drink it. Right, first things first, trim your sleepers. These little, I should mention this is Pico Code 100 track, the wooden type of sleeper. So what I do, just get rid of those sprue bits, get rid of those little edges there. I'll do that off camera because people will be scared when I start shaving them off towards me. Yeah, get rid of those. Do it on your 6 sleepers, and then move on to the next stage. So that's now bunches of these trimmed down. Sorry, don't copy this way of doing it either. So how to not do it. Anyway, it is actually quite easy to peel. Don't do this with a super sharp knife, otherwise you'll dig into your thumb. Right, there we go. So that's one more than we need. But there we go. In 2 minutes, you can see that there's nothing causing these not to stack up nicely next to each other. Alright, I'm going for my favourite Vallejo grey primer. Black may be more appropriate, but I don't have black, and I'm trying to keep this as cheap as possible. And a brush. There's a bit of water mixed in with this as well, but not much because it's quite thin anyway, the primer. Right, the 2 paints I use to do my sleeper colour is this one here from the Life Colour range, this Stone Grey pack. I think you get this whole thing, it's got 6 paints in it for I think about 15 quid, which is reasonable. They're pretty good colours. They're designed for stone, but I use them for wood and stone, and they look pretty good. And then the other thing then is the Vallejo Black, or in Spanish that, which is unfortunate. Yeah, so just mix it up, make it nice and dark, because this is way too light if you don't dilute it down, or mix it up, and yeah, check it on the sleepers. Do that now. So yeah, I've got a little bit of this Humbrol rust, matte rust. I find it really nice actually. Number, what's that, 113. Just put a little bit of that on my palette. And I've picked one of the better looking sleepers, and now let's move this somewhere I can actually do it. Now with my super duper eyes, I'll try and paint it. Oh, it's quite vivid. think I saw Bunter's Yard doing all his chairs like this, which is fair play, dedication to the cause. I certainly wouldn't be able to do that. Neither the skill nor the patience. I prefer it when it's almost dry brushed on like this. It's a nicer effect. Almost looks like copper. Alright, that focusing. Come on. There we are. That's how it looks. Quite nice. It's a thin brush, but you don't need much skill. I don't have any, and yeah, I think you'll agree it's quite a nice effect. Right, so final phase, construction. For this we need 7 sleepers, super glue, great stuff, and 2 offcuts of wire. It's a couple of mil thick. I'll put the exact spec down in the description, but yeah, you know, dropper size wire, not too thick. Yeah, not like power cable, but yeah, dropper size, similar to what a Pico dropper cable would be like. And anyway, and then what you do is you just feed your bit of cable. If you get this size, and as I said, I'll put the spec below. If you get this size, it's actually quite easy. It'll just feed then through the holes already. See, piece of cake. I haven't actually pre-done this. Keep your best one, or if you've rusted it up like I have, for the top one. So that's 4. Ignore the white, this is just primer out from another job. 4, 5, push the cable through a bit more, and then the final one, 6. And you can see, obviously I'm going to chop off the excess, but you can see, there we go. Sorry if that went on camera, but yeah, you can see it makes a fairly stable structure. What you do then is feed through the other side as well. It took 2 minutes, actually longer than it should to do that. So once you get to that position and you've got a nice little wall of sleepers, what you do then is you basically trim off the bottoms so it can sit flat on the surface, and then super glue it up. Now that's done, all we need to do now is super glue it up. So get your super glue. There's 2 ways to do it. You could put the back piece on first and just super glue along that, or what I do is super glue this way. Try not to super glue my fingers on if I can possibly help it. Let that all soak down. Leave that now for a minute or so. Quick. And then put the back piece on. And with the back piece, I just make sure that it, obviously there's super glue on the inside, underside of that. I just make sure that it's flush with the bottom. So when I put on the tracks, it sits there, no problem. Okay, I'll let that dry and we'll stick on the tracks and you can see how it looks. Right, let's add 10 minutes to set up, and if it hasn't, I'll soon find out as it sticks to my fingers. So, yeah, I'd already trimmed the bottom. Just gonna trim the top now. Oh, it hasn't set up. Oh, let's give that another 5 minutes. Impatience. Okay, so final piece of the puzzle. Gluing it on to the track. I don't go overboard with this step because if my locos go crazy and run out of control, which they often do, I wanted to be able to knock it over without damaging wagons and locos and what have you. Okay, so a bit of super glue. I did also toy with a one where I put rails up to it and super glue them on, which I may well do in the future. And if you want to avoid, I've done that tidy. If you want to avoid seeing the light from the other side, you could of course put 2 of them up. It's no big deal, as you've just seen. 5 minutes work and it's done. Okay, so there we go. So that's my 3 coal mine buffer stops in place. This is a standard, was it R600 or whatever, equivalent, Pico equivalent short straight track, set track 200 is it? Anyway, and yeah, obviously if I want to get a wagon in there, like this one here, then clearly I don't want the standard buffer stop being in place, because with that in place I can't actually get anything past, whereas with that gone, you're laughing. So that's the main purpose for these sleeper type buffer stops. They allow me to get more wagons into a smaller space. Yeah, which I'll demonstrate now quickly, and then I'll leave you all go and enjoy some more model railway videos. Thanks for coming, folks. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time at Aberholt Junction. So there you have it. With these sleeper buffer stops, I can get 7 relatively big wagons in the long siding, 3 in one up the front and 1 in the side. So if I was going for your standard Hornby, Pico, Gauge Master, whoever buffer stops, then instead of getting 11 wagons in there and being able to move around, shunt about, I'd be getting 8, which is a significant difference. So yeah, I'm pleased as punch with how they turned out, and they were free. And yeah, it gave me a chance to do a bit of modelling, which building from scratch, which I don't often do. Thanks for coming, folks, and I'll see you next time at Aberholt Junction.